is on December 20th, which is the winter solstice. Okay. What I am proposing is that people go to gather your family members together, put on your pajamas or your nightgown or whatever it is you sleep in, fix yourself something nice to eat or drink, gather around the computer, uh, cover yourselves up with some warm blankets, okay, and enjoy a performance of the brown sugar nutcracker suite, okay. There's a group of children in Birmingham, Alabama, who are doing their own version of the Nutcracker Suite, which is, a traditional Christmas theme that a lot of people go dress up, go out, attend, have dinner, and so on and so forth. And so what's happening here is if you go to the site and you make a $20 donation, access to the show will be given to every household that where they receive a donation. So I've bought a ticket for myself here in Oakland, for my sister in Antioch, and for my daughter in Atlanta. Okay, and I've sent this out, and I intend for this to be a way for us to feel as if we are in the same room or in the same theater or having dinner together or whatever. I feel that this is something that we're going to have to do more often in more ways in order to hold on to our sense of humanity. And what is really wonderful about this is your contribution is used to keep this children's theater alive through COVID, So we need to have our mind on things like that and share so that we can avoid the depression that comes with this kind of isolation. So, Leah will make sure that you all get that, and hopefully, we'll have dinner and theater on the winter solstice. Thank you so much. Okay, look like we got a full house. We have 33 people in the house. And I want to begin today by talking about the Orishas. Okay. So I'm assuming that you all read the materials in Jambalaya. Okay. And I will reinforce some of that and have you ask questions about that. But there are a few points that I really, really need to make for us as we go into the Orishas. Okay. First of all, people, I'm gonna talk first about the Ibora, about Elegba Ogun and Ochosi. I need everybody to take a deep breath and gently close your eyes. And recreate for yourself a scene of a tropical rainforest, a place where there are palm trees and saber trees and vines and flowers and all kinds of unusual plants, water rippling. You smell amazing aromas. There are things crawling and flying and moving through this environment, and it is as many shades of green as you can possibly imagine. This is an abundant place. This is a beautiful place. And this is also a mysterious place. Find a spot in this forest that feels safe and comfortable to you. And relax there. Take it easy. And feeling safe and secure there in that forest, you hear a rustling in the bush in front of you. You hear a rustling in the bush on either side of you. But this is not disturbing. I ask you to sit there as the bushes part in front of you and you see a character dressed in red and black carrying a staff. And when you look to the left of you, you see a very, very strong, muscular figure, chest bare, dressed in a grass skirt, machete in hand. And when you look to the right of you, you see a slender warrior dressed in skins, feathers, and carrying a bow and arrow. And allow them to step out of the bush and to come and stand around you. Let them surround you. And feel the increase of security and power that they bring. Take a deep breath and let it out slowly. Take another deep breath and let it out slowly. And on the third deep breath, gently open your eyes. You have just met Elegba, Ogun, and Ochosi, the warriors, the Ibora. These deities are invoked at the beginning of every important endeavor. Every important endeavor. Elegba helps us to make right decisions. Elegba, as the master of the crossroads, exists in that place between the seen and the unseen, between the sacred and the profane, between the potential and that is manifested. My best explanation for Elegba has to do with perception. Some of you have heard this before, but you know, when we think of Elegba, we think first of all, of that name that they give him of trickster. Now, unfortunately, trickster has come in some areas to simply mean clown, and unfortunately, more still in those areas where has a strong foothold. We have no devil. I need to tell you all that. Elegba is not the devil. We do not have a devil.
Excuse me, Yeye, your volume is cutting in and out, so you may want to turn off your video. So it looks like Yeye may have her bandwidth may have dropped. So if she's not in the room, she will be rejoining us. No, she's still here. So let's just
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
Here's the problem. When my bandwidth gets weak, the only way for me to strengthen it is to turn the camera off so that you can still hear me, but you can't see me. When you're looking at me, then they start giving me this signal that my bandwidth is weak. So I'll take it off now and see how often I can open the camera again. But the important thing is to know that Elegba is the one who spins the wheel of fortune so that earth, air, fire, and water can come together in different combinations. Okay. He spins the wheel of fortune so that earth, air, fire, and water can come together in different combinations. And so, my best example of that is the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, you know, that commercial they used to have where Mr. Reese was in the general store and he's carrying a sack of flour and there's a block of chocolate on the edge of the counter. The sack of flour hits the chocolate, it falls in the peanut butter barrel. He picks it up and Reese's Peanut Butter Cup is born. Okay. Now, some people would say Mr. Reese had an accident, but we say Elegba showed him a new candy that needed to be created. Okay. We say that Elegba is the linguist. If we want to talk to a deity, we have to get Elegba to interpret our human language into the language of that Orisha. So I say that I'm getting ready to talk to Yemaya. I have to tell Elegba that I'm about to talk to Yemaya so that he will translate my human language into water talk. And when Yemaya answers me, he translates her water talk into human language. Now, you know, my best example of that has to do with a time when me and another priestess, a priestess of Yemaya, went down to the ocean and we made the same offering. We stood at the same shore. We sang the same songs on the same day at the same time. And we stood there watching the waves, expecting an answer, right? And after a while, a wave came in, and the sole of a shoe was laid on the beach in front of us. We both looked down, and I said, "Oh," and she said, "Ooh." Now, without anything else, we have two different perceptions, two different responses to what is laying in front of us. Okay. So I said to her, I said, you know, when Yemaya gave us the sole of that shoe, I understood that she was saying she was going to clean a path in front of us. She was going to wash our feet. And that person said, I wondered, where's the body? Where's the body? We're both looking at the same thing. Why is that her interpretation of it? And why is my interpretation? We're working with two different Elegbas there. We're working with two different perceptions of reality. And Elegba has control over that, which is why sometimes people have accused him of being responsible for mistakes, for a mistake, a misperception of what is going on. But when you have a good relationship with the Legba, your perception is crystal clear. You know what's going on, even in the midst of the most confusion. If you're on good terms with the Legba, you see reality where others might see illusion. And the third very important aspect of a Legba has to do with him being the enforcer, the enforcer. Now, hear me very clearly. Human life is conditioned with a certain amount of freedom of choice. Okay. In those areas where we have freedom of choice, it is important that we make the right choices as much as possible. Okay. So when we find ourselves in a situation where we have to choose, sometimes I say, I have six in one hand and half a dozen on the other. Should I go to the left or should I go to the right? I don't know. Let's see. Should I go to work? If I go to work, A, B, C, D, E will happen. But if I go to school, A, B, C, D, E will happen. And I just don't know which one to do. And then, oh, I just spilled ketchup on my dress. Guess I'll go to work. Now, I want you to think about the times when you were caught in a deadlock. You needed to make a decision and you couldn't rationally make that decision. And then something that seems unrelated to the question at hand happened and you made a decision. Elegba kicks us out of the crossroads of indecision. And this is a hard one because sometimes the best decisions that we make have come out of a crisis. You have an accident and change your profession. A relationship ends suddenly and you change your direction. Somebody unexpectedly walks into your life and it changes your life completely. You know, this stuff comes under Elegba. And a lot of people are afraid of Elegba, but he's my best boyfriend. I have to tell y'all that. I love me some Elegba. Okay. So when you run upon material that labels him as the devil, know that that is a missionary interpretation of an inability to deal with the trickster. But you will find a trickster figure in all of the indigenous cultures, in all of the indigenous cultures. Next, I want to praise Ogun. And similarly, Ogun has been maligned because it is difficult for people to understand the nature of the wild man in the woods. Ogun is nature. He is the the fierceness of the forest. He's the wild man in the woods. And as the tool maker, Ogun is the person who begins to take the raw material of nature and to shape it into things that human beings can use. So he has the machete that cuts down a tree to create wood. He has the iron of the blacksmith. Ogun is a coarse fellow because he represents our early move toward material civilization. He's the tool maker, right? Sometimes I joke and say, Ogun is Bigfoot's daddy. You know, when we move evolutionary toward being more Homo sapien. Ogun is very, very powerful when his energy is under control. So you have stories where Ogun sets out to defend the people, but he gets intoxicated by the power of war and continues until he ends up slaughtering his own. So, this move toward tool making, this move toward material civilization is something that we really have to have a respectful relationship to, because right now they are burning down the Amazon to, do more agriculture to bring more of that in, and that is killing the lungs of this planet, you know. Civilization is killing us. That move towards civilization is killing us. So Ogun's energy has to be placated, and done in proportion. The other thing you will hear about Ogun that has been misinterpreted is it's said that Ogun is a rapist. Okay. And there's a very, very famous story about Ogun chasing Yemaya, knocking her down and raping her, and when she bursts open, she disperses water all over the planet in different places in the planet. Well, if we realize that one of the major jobs of mythology is to express our ancestors' understanding of the workings of nature, the workings of nature. We now know that at one point this whole globe was covered in water, and that land erupted, penetrated the waters, and dispersed them from one solid mass into many masses. Ogun penetrating the water where the forest now develops. So, don't believe people when they say, well, the existence of Ogun justifies rape. No. In fact, I took the time to create a story called The Day Her Belly Burst, um, that gives an alternative and more feminine interpretation to that. You will find other stories about Ogun, especially Ogun and Yemaya, that speak to early civilization and man and woman, the way we divided up male and female responsibilities. You will find stories about Ogun that says, he's interested in remaining wild and untamed, and wasn't interested in being a king just sitting on the throne. That's Shango's trip. So, Ogun only likes a certain amount of civilization. Ogun is an incredible protector, an incredible protector. In my lifetime, I've had experiences where the easy one that's coming to mind now was years ago. I wanted to. I took my Elay to perform on a beach in outside of San Francisco, and it was a private beach with a lock gate, the place where I wanted to go. And so we stood there and we sang for Ogun, and the police came and opened the gate for us. The police came and opened the gate for us. We did our ritual, and when we were finished, he came and he locked the gate behind us. We had no permit, no license. We didn't know anybody, we didn't know anything except that divination had said this was the place um, where we should do the ritual. And so when you have a good relationship with Ogun, you have protection. You have decision, you have protection. Ochosi Ochosi is the tracker. A lot of people have associated Ochosi with city police or with highway patrol, but Ochosi, in his purest form, is the one who hunts with a bow and arrow. Ochosi has the gift of stealth. Ochosi knows how to move through the forest without making a sound, without breaking a branch, without harming a creature. Ochosi brings us commitment to move slowly and carefully on our path of light and destiny. He helps us to hunt for what we really need. And I found that in a house where Ochosi is well taken care of, there's no such thing as hunger. There's no such thing as hunger. Food comes to you. Protection with the warriors, protection comes to you. Your basic needs are taken care of. Now, the famous story about Ochosi has to do with him refusing to make a sacrifice, a division. He was a great hunter who shot a lot of birds with his bow and arrow and provided great food for his mother and for the community. And then he had a divination that said he needed to make an abo. He refused to make the abo and went out and had no good luck with his hunting. But at home, he had a beautiful pet parrot, and he would say goodbye to his parrot every day and go out hunting. He used to come home with more birds. But after he refused to do the abo, his arrow never made its mark. He wasn't catching anything anymore. He wasn't bringing anything home. And so one day he came home, and all that there was of his parrot, his pet parrot, was feathers in the cage. And he asked his mother, "Wow, what happened? What happened to my parrot?" And she said, "I don't know. Some thief must have come in here and stole your bird, right?" So he goes out into the bush and he puts some curare or some other poison on the tip of his arrow, and he shoots it up at the sky, and he says, "Let this arrow land in the heart of the one who stole my parrot." And when he got back home, that arrow was in his mother's heart because she had eaten the parrot because she got hungry. You see what I'm saying? And so you will often see in Catholic countries, they have a statue of Saint Sebastian, with arrows all in his body. Ochosi teaches us to aim high, aim well, and never, ever, never, ever take your good fortune for granted. Okay. Oftentimes in this hemisphere, Ochosi is associated with the Native American tracker. You'll often see people with feather headbands and that kind of thing on their Ochosi altar. Okay. So before I go to the next set of Orishas, are there any questions about the warriors?
Yeah, yeah, not
Hmm.
necessarily a question, but something that I would like to add with regard to Ochosi.
Sure.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Ochosi is also about righteousness. So if you are
Right.
injured, harmed, he'll protect you. But if you invoke him, you have to make sure your side of the street is clean too.
That's
Because
right.
it goes to, kind of make things right,
Yes.
everybody gets it.
Yep.
So if you have a problem with people gossiping about you, and you
Mm-hmm.
want that gossiping to stop, and you're like, oh, Chelsea, you got to make these people stop talking about me.
Mm-hmm.
He'll go and rip the tongue out of the person gossiping, but
Mm-hmm.
then you may wake up in the morning and find you don't have a tongue either.
That's right.
Been gossiping.
That's right. That's
So I
right.
want to kind of share that with you, um,
Mm-hmm.
because he is like very serious about that.
Yep.
Um, when I moved to Virginia Beach, I was given Ochosi. And
Mm-hmm.
the question has always been, I'm a level of petty. I'm not somebody that should have Ochosi. And I try real hard not to invoke, but
Mm-hmm.
people who have things that are supposed to be for me,
Right.
I have watched bad things happen to them
Yep.
because they have not paid what they owe.
That's right.
So
You
I
gotta pay what you owe. You gotta make the bowl. You have to, you have to walk stealthily, carefully through
mm-hmm,
that forest. You can't go tromping on, you can't do it. You have to be very careful. And Ochosi does have a lot to do with legal issues and the martial arts and making sure that the law is balanced. The big example I have of that is years ago somebody in Florida was told to make an bowl with some pigeons and to leave it on the steps of the courthouse, right? Uh-huh. And when I first heard it, I said, "Oh no, ooh, what's going on with that? That's scary." Blah 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 blah. Make a long story short, um, people who were not in the tradition complained and started complaining about us doing animal sacrifice, and that they tried to pass a law to outlaw the Santeria religion, and that battle went all the way to the Supreme Court and ended up with us being now a legal religion. Prior to that, we were illegal and could be hassled by the police because people were trying to make a law specifically against African-based religion. But what they bumped up against was the Jewish tradition sacrifices a rooster for their atonement, and Italian restaurateurs said, "You can't pass this law because that'll mean we can't boil lobsters no more." You see what I'm saying? Uh-huh. And so it was Ochosi that brought this legal issue to the forefront. I was amazed by that being the end result. So you don't know what these Orishas are up to sometime, but the important thing was the ebo was made. Now, what if the person who received that divination, what if that person had said, "Ooh, I can't leave this ebo on the courthouse steps. That's too scary. I might get caught." They did the ebo, and the long term outcome of it was good for all of us, you know. So you got to come respectful, you got to come careful, you got to come clean, because that arrow will land in your own heart if you um are not. The other important thing I want to say about Ochosi that isn't known a lot is that there is a female road of Ochosi. There is a female road of Ochosi, and the name that I was given is Agbe, Agbe, by one of my elders gave me that name. And Kawobemi, are you in the house? Is Kawobemi with
Yeah,
us?
I'm here, yeah.
Yeah, you have that road of Ochosi, right?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Was you want to share with the house a little bit about that?
Well, it's more on the side of she's more on the side of tracking internally
Mm-hmm.
and in the ancestors, in the realm of ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll offer protection to guide people through their feelings, through their fear, and very quiet,
Mm-hmm.
and but a real ally,
Okay.
in my experience. A
Mm-hmm.
beautiful Orisha. I love Ochosi Obinrin.
Ashe. Ashe. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. It's
Thank you.
very interesting because when I think about male and female Ochosi and trackers, again looking at early civilization, where it's often said that whereas the men went out and hunted bush cows, the women were responsible for fish and birds, for
Yeah,
raising birds and cultivating, creating
gathering.
the art of fishing. Yeah. And I met, I think it was like 1993 or something. I met a Brazilian chief, priest of Ochosi, and things are kind of different in Brazil. And he said something that his Ochosi had to live outside, and sometimes people will say Ochosi has to live outside of the pot, not inside the pot with Ogun, but outside on his own. And then this particular priest told me when when he made Ocha, they gave Ochosi a gigantic fish. And then he never gave fish again. So I don't know if that was about his particular Ita or if that applies in other places. But I just thought I would put that out there. Thank you, Baby. Does anybody else want to contribute anything before I move to the next Orishas?
Yeah, this is Akali. I have a question.
Uh-huh.
When you're referencing the warriors, so that would be Alagba, Ogun, and Ochosi
Yes,
only.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So is that synonymous when people in the tradition are given their warriors? It's either one of these three?
It's all three of them. It's
Okay.
all three. Okay, that's a good question. Sometimes a person will be in a situation where divination says this person needs an elegba, like maybe you're about to go on a trip and you need a traveling elegba, or there's certain odors that fall on the tray, and they'll say, well, this person needs elegba and ogun because you need some protection. But if you are on the road toward making Orisha tradition your spiritual path. And this is something that I will explain to those who are applying for my Ile. There's a point, there's a point at which, oh, hold on a minute. This is my daughter. Lena, I'm in a class. Let me call you back, baby. All right. Um, there's a point at which you go through a ceremony to receive the warriors. This is after Elekes. When you receive the warriors, you receive Elegba, Ogun, and Ochosi as a unit, right? Also Osun as a unit. It is my experience that a person who receives Elegba, Ogun, and Ochosi and who is taught how to work with them and who honestly works with them, okay, you can make wise decisions because you have a good relationship with Elegba. You have protection because you have a good relationship with Ogun, and you have provisions because you have a good relationship with Ochosi. It is very, very important. And, there are many people who um, receiving the warriors is as far as they need to go. You know, not everybody needs to make ocha and become a priest, but I feel that everybody needs to have a working relationship with their ancestors, and most people, once you have the warriors, you really can pretty much engineer your own life. Yeah, that's who we mean by the warriors. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Okay. Then now I'm going to talk about Orumila and Obatala. Orumila is the voice of the Ifa oracle, our highest oracle. We have Coco, we have Obi, we have Dilogun, and we have Casting Ifa. Orumila is the owner of Ifa, and Ifa lays out for us our path of destiny. Ifa knows who we are and why we came. Okay. Obatala, the king of the white cloth, is credited with having come down from the heavens on a golden chain, a glittering ray of light, with a bag of soil and a five-toed guinea hen, and dropping that soil on the water, using the hen to scratch the continents into place. Obatala is considered to be the one who um, takes the clay and wets it with the waters of the Yamapo and spins the child in the womb. Obatala is the ruler of the head. Okay. Obatala helps us to clean our ori, to clean our consciousness. Obatala must never be given alcohol because when drunk, Obatala miscreates and malformations come into being. there are many roads of Obatala. So most often you will see Obatala depicted as an old man or an old woman who is slow and thoughtful and also careful. But there are young roads of Obatala, Ayaguna, you know, and Ayaguna is almost the opposite of Obatala. Whereas Obatala is deliberate and slow and most of all so forgiving, you know. Ayaguna is the one who comes rushing down the hill on a white horse, whipping everybody. You know, Obatala is very interested in everybody being clean and innocent. Ayaguna says, all y'all guilty. I don't need to hear individual cases. I'm wiping everything out. You know what I'm saying? But the most important thing about Obatala is the creativity, is that Obatala sets our ethical standards, that Obatala has high intellect, that Obatala has to have everything clean, and that, you know, we really, really, really want to practice humility. We must practice humility when dealing with Obatala. Now, on the personal side, people had, you know, when I was coming up, there was a misconception, attitude that was floating around in the community where somebody would say, "Oh, there's an Ocha in San Francisco," and they said, "Well, which Orisha they making?" And somebody would say, "Oh, it's just Obatala. It's just Obatala." And what they thought they meant by that was that the ceremony was going to be simple, and you know it wasn't going to be elaborate. It wouldn't take a lot of work and that kind of stuff. And unfortunately for me, for a while, I thought that that was the truth. Okay. Until I got my own house and I started noticing that anytime we said, "Oh, we just gonna do a little something for Obatala," the 1 hour that we planned turned into 8 hours, right? And I got it that we had adopted an attitude toward Obatala that did not match his magnificence. And so I made the word just taboo in my house. Don't ever tell me you just gonna do a little something something for this or that Orisha. Because if you say you just, it's almost as if you attempting a leg by to make a liar out of you. And I think that in Western culture, the value of humility is misunderstood, and that was registering with Obatala. The other thing that I want to say about Obatala that I learned is that one of Obatala's medicine, you know, he's associated with the snail, for example, for moving slowly, right? With the elephant for that wisdom of age. But I've also found that Obatala is the deity of laughter. Laughter is one of Obatala's medicines, and I've seen times when I did a reading for somebody who was going through something, and what came out was that they needed humor. They needed humor to the place where I had them watching funny movies or going to see a stand-up comic or anything to make yourself laugh. Since then, there's been a lot of research that shows the value of laughter in lifting depression, in stimulating other parts of the brain, in how, the impact that it has on various people. And so, you know, this is the gift of Obatala, but we must never give Obatala alcohol. And I want to say for the people who are, you know, interested in Ile Orumila Oshun, in my Ile, there is pretty much a standard practice that members of my Ile have to sacrifice their black clothes. They have to sacrifice that. That comes up every time. There's a ritual where you definitely don't show up at my house in black clothes, and you don't come to ceremony in black clothes. A person who's a child of Ogun may have green and black, you know, Elegba may have red and black, Oshun may have a spot of black among all her yellow, but there's no occasion to be showing up in all black clothes or heavily in black clothes. Obatala will ask you to sacrifice those. Now, I've encountered people who are upset because they think I'm saying something negative about black people. Okay. Our uniform in this tradition is white clothes for a very specific reason. The power of the color black is that of attraction. In black clothes, you absorb the energy of everybody around you. The power of white clothes is that it repels other energies. So somebody who's newly initiated spends a year and 7 days in white clothes to keep your aura clean, to keep you from picking up vibrations from other people. And, you know, at first you sort of wonder about it, you know, where does this tradition come from? What is the meaning of it, et cetera, et cetera. And because of the kind of head that I have, I look for the noetic science, the metaphysical science attached to uh, traditional ways. And one of the things that I found out was that when they bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, when they shot off that atom bomb, and the casualties were brought in, the people who had the less severe burns were those who were wearing white clothes at the time that the bomb went off. Now, people were badly hurt by that. But when the research shows that some people were burned to a crisp, others were severely burned, but the ones who were burned the least were those who had been wearing white clothes. Okay. And colors, the study of color is something that we will definitely get into because all of the Orishas have their colors, and colors are significant at different times, and every color brings a particular vibration. But Obatala, Obatala, king of the white cloth, and Orumila, you know, who the one who brings heaven down to earth. I put those two together here. Are there any questions or comments about Orumila and Obatala before I move on?
There's a question in the chat, Yeye. Question about Obatala. Is Obatala one of the first proofs of non-binary deities in African culture?
There is no such thing as non-binary deities, okay? This term non-binary is running rampant, okay? Every Orisha has a light and a shadow, has a male and a female aspect. The sky, which is generally considered male, has female aspects in it. The sky is androgynous. The ocean, which is considered primary female, has a male aspect in it. It is gynandrous. So even though the male and the female are contained in each other, they are still binary. There is no mass where there is no distinction, okay? This languaging really needs to be clarified. The Ifa oracle is a binary system. You have something, you have a letter on the left and you have a letter on the right. You have the sky above and you have the water below. Let us be very clear. Everybody recognizes that there is dusk and there is dawn, but both dusk and dawn are dependent on the movement between the moon and the sun. So each Orisha is whole. Each Orisha has many aspects inside of them. And this is, you know, for 35 years, I've argued with people in pagan traditions, especially about this division. Like they love to say, well, Yemaya is the goddess of fertility. Each one of these Orishas has their own fertility. Oh, Ogun is the warrior. Each one of these Orishas have their warrior aspect. Okay, so my road of Oshun, who the stereotype would have her as a black dumb blonde who is just so sweet and so weak. Bullshit. Okay, there is a warrior aspect of Oshun. She does not have to grow a dick to be that. Okay, there is a gentle feminine side to Shango. He does not have to grow breasts in order to do that. When we get away from stereotypes of how humans and deities are supposed to behave and look at the holism there, then we won't need this terminology, which is being used not just to defend some people's right to be themselves, but is now being used as if to undo the reality of nature. In an indigenous society that is intact, okay? If it's intact, a child is born, there is an asentaye. The asentaye is a divination that shows you what the destiny of that child is. If that child is in fact supposed to be this, that, or the other, all through life, there are rites of passage that people go through, okay? And at the time of puberty, then there would be a designation by the elders, by the oracle, that this child should be a gatekeeper around this particular thing or that particular thing. We have this problem because the rites of passage are not in place. I want everybody to be very, very clear that I am not saying that we do not have people who are children of dusk and dawn, who exhibit characteristics other than what this present culture has determined. But how we handle it is different. How we handle it is different. So, the language just does not work. If you ask me, does every Orisha have a strong and a weak aspect? Does every Orisha have light and shadow? Does every Orisha have activity and passivity? I can say yes to that. If that's what you're talking about, I can say yes to that. But that does not fit. That does not fit what I have experienced as people talking about something being non-binary. You cannot consult Ifa without recognizing the binary reality. I hope that made that clear.
Hey, Yeye. Thank you so much for that explanation. I had actually asked that question, and I love everything that you said. It was more coming from a feeling of just curious why sometimes Obatala is either female or male, or sometimes it's king or sometimes it's king.
Right. Obatala is both.
Yeah. I love that.
That's the point. Obatala would be called androgynous.
Yes.
Okay. That is seen primarily as male, but with a female aspect. Okay. And this is a big thing that's been a conversation for a long time. When we go down into the ocean, you have Yemaya Olokun. So Yemaya would be the female aspect and Olokun would be the male aspect.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a problem historically because of political dangers. Yemaya is well known in Yoruba land as female. Olokun is well known in Benin as male. But when you get people thrown on a ship and brought across the ocean and they're holding on to whatever they can, then you get Yemaya dash Olokun, right? You get it moved into one deity. And for the longest, we had a problem. Maybe some of the priests in here can back me up. If a person was read as a child of Olokun, what they would do is make the head for Yemaya and give the person a pot for Olokun, because it was believed that the knowledge of Olokun at the bottom of the ocean is too great for a human head to contain. Okay. But my girl, my best friend, is one of the first African Americans to go to Benin and be initiated for Olokun proper. Okay. Over the past 30 years, things that were not known before are now coming to be known, right? And there are people who are working to reclaim, redefine how we handled certain things before the colonial period. And I think I mentioned this before, the sister Tashia, she is the one who's doing the research to find out when the rites for puberty came, and the divination plus the behavior showed that this person was equally male and female, or if early on, if somebody had been born intersex with both genitals, that would have been noticed immediately. But she is trying to find out what are the rituals, right? What are the responsibilities? How was this handled before Christians and Muslims came in and made, you know, made it devilish or sinful, which is what happened everywhere. Among Native Americans and among Native Hawaiians, there were people who had a male body but dressed in female clothes and carried out female responsibilities, and they were with somebody who carried out male responsibilities. So the binary is always there functioning. It's just that the rituals for how you process such people is something that Daddy Ya is looking into. So the difficulty that we've had is that when you have things filtered through the Catholic lens, as this tradition was, you know, in order to survive, it had to merge with Catholicism. When you do that, then patriarchy really steps in. Okay, so the popular image of Obatala became uh, male, and the female aspect of Obatala was kept quiet. Um, the other, like we just said, Ochosi was known as male, but it was uncovered. There's a female aspect, and there's other things, you know, even about Elegba, that conversations that priests are having among ourselves as more material is uncovered. For example, Orumila, who is the one who rules the Ifa oracle, there's a story that says um, Orumila was so popular, everybody wanted him to do divinations, and he was on the road, and so many people came to his house needing divination, he couldn't be reached. So Oshun created Dilogun so that she could tend to the people. Well, you know, a couple of years ago, Baba Wande Abimbola, who is one of our world authorities, he brought forth another story that said actually it was the other way around, that Oshun originated the oracle, and then Orumila picked it up and he went traveling while she did it at home, you see. So the role of the feminine is being uncovered, and our pre-colonial understanding of stuff is coming to the forefront. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I think the difference between in languaging is the Orishas a whole. They are multifaceted, and I'll see if I can find the right word to express that. I'll meditate with Oshun and see what she says. Thank you. Hmm. Is that it? Should I go to Shango and Oya now, or is there more?
No more questions at this point, Yeye.
Okay, everybody take a deep breath. Take a deep, deep breath, because now we are about to approach the deities of the storm, honey. The deities of the storm, okay? So we have, again, some of you who have jambalaya, you may notice that in the chapter, at some point in the book, I talked about how the 7 African powers had left Oya out and had put Orumila in. Okay. And what I did was I took Orumila out and I put Oya in. And my reasoning then was twofold. Number one, I found that people were very afraid of Oya. And at that time, it was said that a woman could not make Ifa. Now, let me say that sometime next year, the 35th anniversary edition of Jambalaya is coming out, and I've written an author's foreword that explains what has occurred during the 35 years, what changes have occurred. And that's two of them. One is that Oya has found her place in the pantheon of deities respectfully, and that women can now make Ifa full force. And we know that this was so in pre-colonial times. Oya is amazing. Oya's name, the name Oya means to rip, to tear. Okay. Oya is that wind, that baby, if you've ever seen an African sandstorm, for example, if you've ever seen a whirlpool of wind, if you've ever seen a tornado, that is Oya's energy. In some ways, Oya is the wild woman in the woods. Oya is the flame, and she is the river Niger with its 9 tributaries. So you often see Oya wearing a necklace with 9 masts or 9 heads on it. Oya is the boss lady of the cemetery, and she leads the parade of the Egungun. She is the only Orisha who is the best friend of Iku, death. Her and death are good friends, and the cemetery is her garden. Okay. More and more, because we're able to embrace more of the Orishas, for a while, Oya and Ochumare, the owner of the rainbow, were closely associated because Oya is multicolored. Okay. She's absolutely amazing, and she's fierce. She is very, very fierce. Shango is the Lord of, I should say that Oya is the energy of unconditional change. Okay. She gonna change. She's gonna bring about change. She's gonna bring about sudden change. Anywhere where there is stagnation, Oya is gonna stir up that shit, and she's gonna do it quick, fast, and in a hurry. Okay. Shango, who is the Lord of the Flame, Shango is our social organization. Shango is the ego of the human, and the seat of the government of the people. Okay. Two important things to say here is, in interpreting Orisha, for example, we look at both the historical figure and the ecological figure. Okay. And this becomes very important when we speak of Shango. Most of the time, people will say Shango, the 4th Alafin of Oyo. There we are talking about a particular man who lived a particular story. But what people have to understand is that the man was named after the deity. Okay. And the story of the human becomes blended into the mythology of the deity. Okay. So when I say Shango, I am talking about thunder. I am talking about the human ego. And I'm also talking about a man who was the 4th Alafin of Oyo. And there's a great story about him, the legend of Obako So. And again, it's a situation where somebody who was, fighting on behalf of the people, when the war was over, he did not realize that restoring the people was what had to be done. He just expected to be praised for having won the war, and jealousy set in, and he pitted his two best soldiers against each other. When that was fulfilled, the people revolted against him, and he hung himself. Thereafter, ascending to Eleorun and becoming the deity who would watch over government officials and people who rule. There's a lot that comes out of that story. I think we ought to invoke Obako So right now, because it is about unseating government officials. The people put a fire up under his ass, right? He had to get off of the throne. That's what we need to do to Trump, is get his butt out of the White House. You see what I'm saying? Chango lets us know when to let go of the power, how to amass the power, how to use the power, how to let go of the power. In Western culture, there's a lot of stories about a romance between Shango and Oshun, between the big masculine energy and the big feminine energy. But in Nigeria, um, his beside Oba, who Yemaya made him marry her, but Oshun, Oya and Shango are the quintessential couple. They represent thunder and lightning in the tropical storm. And it took a long time for people to accept the fact that Oya precedes Shango in battle. Oya precedes Shango in battle. If you are in a tropical storm, you see lightning first, and then you hear the thunder. You see lightning first, and then you hear the thunder. Okay. Oya was not getting her due because, as the wind, she was favored by nomadic people. And the only thing that, whereas people will say, well, Oshun is from Oshogbo and Shango is from Oyo, where is Oya from? All up and down the Niger River. All up and down the Niger River. She's a wanderer. She's a wanderer. And we also were coming through a period of machismo where back in the 60s or 70s, if you had asked some of the Cuban male priests, well, who is Oya? They'd say, oh, she's just a crazy dyke, you know. Oh, she's just this wild woman. Or they would say she's media macha, right? But over time, we have gotten more information about Oya. In fact, in this area, in the 80s, people were afraid to do the Oya initiation. And if somebody was read as Oya, they would make her for Obatala and give her an Oya pot. Okay. And while I, fight hard for the elevation of the goddess, I can tell you part of the reason that people were scared to initiate Oya is I've done it. How many Oya children have I done? Yeah, I've done 3 Oya initiations, and she tends to blow the electric wiring in the house. You know, the lights are flashing off and on. She tends to attract wind and rain. And during an initiation for Oya, we had an earthquake. So her energy is volatile, and you really, really, really have to be ready and know what you're doing. Her initiation is longer than the others. You know, everybody else's takes 7 days, hers takes 16 days. And more and more, the priestesses of Oya are showing themselves and revealing to us what she is like. Shango has been seriously maligned in that patriarchal aspects of the tradition painted an image of him as a womanizing pimp kind of character, right? And when I first got into the tradition and people would say, oh yeah, Shango got all these women, and yeah, Shango this and Shango that, I actually went to the man who was my Baba at the time. I took an offering to his Shango, and I laid down in front of him, and I said, Shango, they tell me that you a pimp, and I ain't finna worship no pimp. Okay. So if you something else, you need to show me what you are, because I'm not buying this, right? And I'll never forget this. There were 3 things that happened that let me know that he was answering me. I got on a bus. I met a man wearing red and white. He started up a conversation with me and told me he was on his way to Puerto Rico to build a house for his mother. And I said, "Ooh, I think Shango is telling me something, because they say he's a carpenter, and this man came up talking to me in red and white for no reason. So, I got to pay attention. Is this Shango trying to tell me something?" The next man I met in red and white, who came up to me as if he was answering a telephone call, we started talking about sex. And he told me his most important responsibility was satisfying his wife. I said, "Well, I ain't heard that shit before." Okay, pay attention, Teish. And what really did it was I met a fireman. My house has been saved twice by Cal Fire. I met a fireman who had pulled a bunch of people out of a fire, and he ran back in and he pulled more people out of the fire. And I said, "Can you tell me, how can you run into a burning house like that?" And he told me, "When I enter the house, I become the flame." I said, "Okay, I think I got my answer, you know?" So it's really important that you not accept the stereotypes about the Orisha that you might come upon, but that you make offering and do prayers and meditations and stuff so that you can feel your relationship to them, right? And when you spend that kind of time, it's very difficult for people to lead you astray. There are a lot of charlatans on the loose right now, and we want to be very careful who you take as a counselor, who you go running behind, and that kind of stuff. Now, Oya and Shango together are amazing. They are a tropical storm. In Benin and some other places, they also come together in a deity called Aziza, Aziza. Aziza is the two of them dancing together. The other thing is, for many years, people would tell you, well, you know, there are no roads of Shango and there are no roads of Oya. That was due to a lack of information. It's now known that there are roads. There's, Shango Obako So, there's Shango Afonja, there's Olubambi, there's Obalube. The more we study, the more we learn about how expansive these Orishas are. Sometimes you will also hear associated with Shango somebody named Dada, okay? And it's said that Dada was Shango's sister who was supposed to inherit the throne of Oyo, and she got cheated out of it. You will also find that Shango's father is Agayu, the volcano. And I'm sorry I didn't have Agayu included in here. Agayu is another one who was misrepresented and whose knowledge is coming out. You can understand that people might be afraid of an erupting volcano, and so we really need to placate Agayu. I have to say, no matter if it is a volcano, no matter if people think of Agayu as somebody who's been ostracized and isolated, my personal experience with Agayu is he's a bridge over troubled waters. He is a bridge over troubled waters when you know how to work with that deity. Agayu will get you through some hard times. Are there any questions?
Yes, yeah. There's several questions in the chat.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start here from the top. Iya Toa Helene says, would you say Oya is Orisha, excuse me, would you say Oya is Orisha of mediums? What about Olokun? I understand he is connected with psychic properties as well. And she says, hoping it's Olokun because that's what I am.
Okay, so here we go again. All of the Orishas have their mediumship. You see what I mean? This is the thing that because we've been trained into Western thinking, it's always either or some other kind of way that we have to look at the multi-layered reality about the Orishas. Okay, so yes, I'm going to get to Olokun and Yemaya next, but to address her question about Oya, okay, Oya is hear me clearly, y'all. Oya is the mother of mind, mind. Oya is the mother of mind. Depending upon your relationship with Oya, she can kiss you with genius. Okay? When Oya is talking to you, you get one big, great idea, and you go into it and you find that there's 9 applications for that idea. Okay? There's a state of brilliance of being caught in genius, where ideas are just rolling in your head. Our most innovative scientists are receiving transmissions from Oya. Those, those understandings about the universe and people, moving through vortexes and that kind of stuff. That is Oya kissing them. When Oya slaps you, insanity, psychosis, 9, 10 different voices talking in your head, outrageous confusion when she slaps you, okay? Now, I need y'all to hear this really clearly, especially those who are applicants to Ileorumilaoshun. I have a wonderful relationship with Oya, a wonderful relationship with Oya, and several important ebos that that I do regularly for Oya. But the one that people should know about, and I was talking with Iya Ohim the other night. When I first opened my Ile, my godfather told me, you are running Oshun's rescue mission. And then it became Oshun's emergency room. And then it became Oshun's intensive care unit. Okay. And I asked her to please move me to the Well Baby Clinic. I had a house full of people who were survivors of childhood sexual abuse, people who had endured domestic battery, people who had been caught in sex trafficking, people who had terrible surgical procedures, people who had been rejected and dejected, and I mean, all kinds of things. It was a very, very, very intense healing area. And Oya gave me an ebo that has to do with craziness, with people acting out, with people going through these strange emotional things. And that ebo is, I have to get a fighting rooster, a fighting cock, and slap people upside their head with the rooster and then feed it to Oya. Now, I know that makes you laugh on one hand and makes you wonder on the other, okay? But when the therapy couch don't work, when you done took enough antidepressants and you done several ebos and that crazy feeling is still there, and I try really not to do that one, because I'm telling you, it is a beating upside the head with a rooster. There's a few ebos that we do before we get to that. Okay. And I'm really invoking this time that everybody who comes into my, and the ebos are really easy and I ain't got to do none of the hard ones, but you should know that there are conditions that some of us suffer from that are outside of traditional psychotherapy, that's outside of that. And quiet as it is kept, over the years, there have been professional therapists who, after trying this and trying that and trying others, sent their clients to me. Okay. So yeah, Oya handles that. Okay. What's the next question, Leah?
Okay, the next question is, from Jerry Ann, who's asking, can the Orisha go on an altar with ancestors?
They should be separate altars. They should be separate altars.
Okay. There also is a question. I need to go back and find one, but let me go here. When did 7 African powers become 7 Orisha? What happened to the 7 tribes of Africa that had to learn to work together during slavery? This is Yeye Tracy.
Actually, Tracy, you've answered your own question. In the attempt to hold on to culture as much as we can, the 7 tribes became the 7 African powers. If you look at, remember Yoruba is really just a language group, right? A language group, people who spoke the same language. If you look at the fact that Oshun is from Oshogbo, Shango is from Oyo, Obatala is from Ile Ife, Yemonja is from Ibadan, I think Ochosi is from Ode Ijebu. Each one of these Orishas had, Olokun is from Benin, they had their own regions, and Ile Ife was indeed the Mecca or the capital. But as we were transported over here to this hemisphere, trying to remember as much of our culture as we could, we had to meld them together. And really, to survive, we had to, in some places, associate them with the Catholic saints. So stuff got reinterpreted, stuff got mislaid, stuff got lost and reclaimed. Also, the 7 African powers, the way it's often given out, doesn't mean that somebody has all 7 Orishas on their head. Most often when people say, I received an eleke for the 7 African powers, that's somebody who is not going to become a priest, but they're just being given access to the Orishas at an elementary level, at a very elementary level.
Thank you, Yeye. There's another question from Giselle. She's asking, can you honor Oya and Oshun together on the same altar?
Now that's a wonderful question, because here goes another myth in the negative sense, okay? When I was coming up through the tradition, there was this macho crap about Oshun and Oya hate each other because they both love Shango. Bullshit, okay? My Ajubona is Oya. My Ajubona is Oya, okay? And as a child of Oshun, I need to tell people, I don't fight over men. Men fight over me. Let's get that shit straight, okay? Then, if we look at Odu, there is an Odu, Osao Che, where both Oshun and Oya speak, okay? So what is it? What is this thing? Because they said, yeah, my Ya and Oya don't get along. Try to make it look like Oya don't get along with nobody, right? She don't like Oshun. She don't like Yemaya. Come on now. Come on now. Let's take a good look at this. I think that most often we think of Oshun as the great pleasures in life. we think of Oya as the one who brings about sudden change and who is also the friend of death. If you enjoy in your life, you don't want sudden change. And you sure don't want death of your good times, you know. So I look at that factor. But if we look at it in nature, we could say it is the wind of Oya that helps to push the water of the river. They are not mortal enemies as we have been fed. Now, right now, the altar that's sitting right here to my right, Oshun is the center of it, and Oya is right here immediately at my right. That was another big battle for me because, you know, you don't automatically get an Eleke for Oya in the set of 5 that you get. You get Oya if she requests it. When I was making Ocha, I bought stuff for Oya, and people said, "You making Oshun? Why you got anything for Oya? Well, Oya don't like you." And I said, but what I'm hearing in my ear is that I need to have stuff for Oya, right? So an Obatala woman was supposed to be my Ajubon, and at the last minute, something happened to her, and Oya was brought in, okay? And the Oya who came brought a crown. The way my Itai goes, I have to treat Oya and Oshun equally. I have to treat Oya and Oshun equally. They are sisters, not automatic adversaries. They are sisters, not automatic adversaries. So if you are feeling good about putting Oya and Oshun close together, do that, but you have to be somebody who's able to deal with the energy of change. Oshun is going to bring all kinds of sweet stuff your way, and Oya is going to change it. Okay? Oya is going to change it. You learn to live with change, to respect change. And my experience, the only time that there has been Oya Oshun conflict for me is when somebody else believed that there should be. I do not experience hatred or jealousy or any of that from Oya. And I don't experience that from Oya women. As a matter of fact, some of them might get mad at me for saying this, but it seems to me that the Oya women that I know, because people have talked so bad about Oya, they bend over backwards trying to be nice. They bend over backwards trying not to manifest, you know. So the Oya will say, well, you know, yeah, we need to think about this, that, and the other, and maybe, and I say, fuck that shit. You know what I'm saying? They try so hard not to. Did you all see the thing we did October 31st when we went around the globe with all the various ancestors and all the various priests? If you have occasion to go back on, you'll see a woman who introduced herself as Iya so-and-so, a priestess of Oya, and then she was the nicest person in the whole thing. She was talking as gently as she could. And they do that in hopes that you don't fuck with them and make them mad enough to turn into a tornado. Everybody got that? Don't fuck with her. You know an Oya woman? Let her do what she doing. I hope I answered your question. I know I went off, but
You did. Thank you, Yeye.
okay.
Yeah. This is Sonia.
Hey, baby.
Hey, Aqua. Yeah. I just wanted to jump in and just add one thing because I know you're going to move on, but we always want to remember that Oya rules the marketplace, right?
Yes, girl, tell it.
When you want to talk about that, you want to make sure that there's some other aspects there. So when you're talking about prosperity and business, you want to talk about marketplace and getting shit done, you want to go to Oya.
That's right. Yes, she is the queen of the marketplace. She is the mother of commerce, right? She is amazing in that regard, see? And that's another place where people fear her, because look how people panic on a day that the stock market goes down. You know, there were folks during the Depression jumping off of buildings because they didn't have Oya's favor, okay? And I'm blessed to be one of those people who have Oya's favor, but understanding it took some time. When I was a Yawo, I was working at this place that was dealing with quote unquote delinquent youth, right? And the people in the office were up to some nefarious shit, but I was the weird one because I was dressed in white every day. Ooh, what's going on with her? How come she in white clothes? Blah, 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 blah. And I told my Ajubona, Maya, who is an Oya priestess, I told her what was going on in the office and how people were toward me and so on and so forth. And she said, Yawo, you should not, yeah, Yawo, you should not be in that environment. It's not good for you, Yawo. I said, well, yeah, Madrina, that's where I work. I gotta make money. And she said, let me speak to Oya about this. She said that to me on Thursday. I went into the office on Monday and I was fired. I was fired with 3 months severance pay. Okay? 3 months severance pay. And I said, oh, that's how she does that. Yeah, I had no business. And it really turned out amazing because when they fired me, they sent me downtown to the white boy. He questioned me. It looked like I was the suspicious character in all of these white clothes, and the rest of the staff don't like you. And what is it that you're doing? And I said, I ain't doing nothing. You're going to fire me, fire me. They fired me with 3 months severance pay. A month later, I get called back into the same office and the same head honcho is questioning me because at that place, the boy who was supposed to be getting jobs for those kids was caught freebasing cocaine in the hallway. She got me up out of there before the shit came down. Yeah, boy. This is nowhere for you to be. I don't argue with Oya. If she said cut something loose, I cut it loose. I do not argue with her. And it sometimes it seems like, where is the queen of the marketplace? If you respect her, you'll fare well in the market. One of the names that I have for her is the dutiful mother of catastrophe. The dutiful mother of catastrophe. If your shit ain't right, she will rip it up. Yes, she'll tear it up because it ain't right. Yes, baby, the dutiful mother of catastrophe. And she is dutiful. She take care of business. Thank you, Adesanya, for bringing that in, because we definitely need her now.
Yeah, I'll go to the next question from
Mhm.
Ruth. Ruth asks, if we have a very powerful, influential enemy or enemies, can we ask Oya for help? What is the correct invocation for her about this?
Well, if I knew more about the situation, I could tell you who to appeal to. Let me say this. When it comes to Oya, her thing is blowing shit away. Okay? Blowing stuff away, right? So depending upon what the situation is that you're in with this person, appealing to Oya, you'd have to know that she don't just rearrange the furniture in the room. She rips the roof off of the house and lifts the tiles up off the floor. So, you know, how much you want this person out of your life. In this case, I would carefully go to Oya and ask her to sweep the debris out of your life, undo, you know, the decay in your life, and then I would stand back. I mean, I really, if I know that somebody is on bad terms with Oya, I don't get nowhere near them, because when lightning strikes, I don't want to get hit, you know. So if I were you, I would try some other things before I got to asking Oya. And once you ask Oya, be prepared for everything to change.
Thank you, Yeye.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is from Helena. She asks, I have a great niece going through a terrible mental breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
Would I appeal to Oya to help her?
Absolutely. Yes. I would, if I were you, I would offer Oya white cloth, clear water, um, a piece of brain coral, and some what do they call it? There's a candy called canela, I think. It has a lot of cinnamon and stuff in it, something sweet with cinnamon in it. And ask her to, you know, set the brain coral in the water on the white cloth with a piece of candy and the image of Oya and a candle, and ask her to please, you know, help this child, or bring the people who can help this child. You know, y'all, I'm not doing divinations until January, because I'm working on this book. But you know, some of these questions sound like things that really ought to be divined on, so that we know specifically what's going on.
Thank you. Yeah. I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome, baby.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking here. Valerie, are you here, Valerie? Can you ask your question? I want to make sure it's correct.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Yeye.
Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm well. Thank you so much. My question while we're on talking about Oya is, how do we appease her? What do we offer her, and where do we go in nature for her?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think in jambalaya, so that you all can use it as a reference. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Where is it? Chapter 9, I believe it is. I'll find the page right now. That's that. I have a chart that shows you, where is it, Tish? No,
That's
that's
chapter 4, Ia.
chapter 4. Okay, in chapter 4, there is a chart that shows you what the ashes of the Orishas are, what you offer them. Um, let's see. Yeah. Yep. Okay, chapter 4, page 58 has all of the Orishas laid out and their relationship to other deities. And then I think in chapter 7, where I'm doing the various folk tales about them, their ashes should be laid out there so that you know what their colors are and what you offer to them. Let me see if I can find the exact page. Yeah,
It's on 114.
page 114. There you go. There you go. Yes. Woo, girl, I gotta reread my own book. So if you look on page 114 and 115, okay, you can see their colors, their name, the saint they're associated with, the day and the number they're associated with, the country and the places that they own, the cloth and the bead colors, their favorite animals and objects, and then their favorite food. So here, if you look at Oya, you'll see red wine, eggplant, plums, and grapes. These are the things that you would offer to her. I can say, add to that deep dark chocolate. You can add to that things with cinnamon and spice. But she really likes red wine and eggplant. And yeah. Yeah, page 114 and 115 will give you a lot of that kind of information. And what's really important, I just answered this question last night in another class. What's really important is two things. What's going on inside of you and how you present something to Orisha. You know, most often it is about a plate with a piece of fabric that matches the Orisha on it, and the offering is usually a candle, some foodstuffs, some money, and you come with the offering and you acclimate the offering to your body and you offer it wholeheartedly with good intention. Now, you may think that I shouldn't have to say that. I would like to believe that I shouldn't have to say that. But my experience has taught me there's a terrible example that comes to mind about two women at different times who brought offerings to Yemaya. Well, an offering is brought to the altar. I present the person's offering to the Orisha, and then I cast to see if the offering is accepted. Is it complete? So should something that, well, here's a watermelon that this person is bringing to Yemonsha, but there's no candle, and should this be sitting on a bed of cornmeal? What's happening here? I present it, and I ask Yemaya if she accepts it, and she say, no, I don't accept it. So I said, oh, baby, look in my botanica and get some cornmeal and a blue candle, and let's sit this up, and let's improve on this. Yemaya, do you accept this? No. Well, I got a policy. I don't go for 3 no's, okay? Right? Yemaya, do you accept this? No. I said, baby, I don't understand. Yemaya is not accepting your offerings. Why won't she accept your offering? And the child said to me, well, it could be because I stole the watermelon. Okay. Okay. It could be because I stole the watermelon. Are you out of your mind? Have you lost your senses? Have you lost your, I'm amazed at things I've had to say to people over the years. The other one that was really scary, and this is, thank God, this next child was not a member of my elay, but she was just a client, and she brought Yemaya a bouquet of dead flowers. Yes. And I said, baby, I know maybe you've come a long way, or maybe maybe you got these flowers yesterday or whatever, but no, I'm not going to offer Yemaya dead flowers. I'm not going to even do it, because I don't play that. You have to respect Yemaya in my house. I said, so, go take this and go throw it in the trash and come back with some fresh flowers for Yemaya. A couple of days passed, and she came back with some more wilted flowers. And I had to say, no, I can't help you. I will not present. What am I going to do? Why would I give Yemaya dead flowers? What's that message? It's like, go sit down somewhere. Think about what you're doing. I said this the other day, and I'll say it again. Preparing and presenting an ebo is an extrovert meditation. It is what's going on inside of you, cast outside of you in material form. It is an extrovert meditation. You don't just slap some shit on a plate to give to the Orishas. There has to be a spiritual and an emotional connection with what you are doing. Conversely, the most humble presentation is accepted when the person's heart is right. Okay? Mao Shun loves lavish stuff, but you can walk in here with, a brick of gold, but if you're not coming with a clean heart, she ain't gonna take it. She ain't gonna take it. What's going on inside of you is what's most important. And while I'm on the subject, let me be real clear. There have been people in the past who tell you, oh, well, the D Lagoon shows that you did some crooked shit last year, and that's why you've experiencing the consequences that you have right now. So just bring me a white hen and we'll sacrifice it. And that's the end of that. And people have thought that that meant I sacrifice this white hen and then I can go do the same crazy shit I just did. No, you make the offering and you change your behavior. You make the offering and you watch to see how conditions around you change. So this mindless ritual is empty. You have to be connected emotionally and spiritually to what you are doing. It reminds me of when I was trying, when I was younger and I was trying to be Catholic, and I go to mass and I stand up and pound on my chest, mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. Then I sit down and then I stand up and I mark the cross on the top of my head, and then I kneel down and then I touch my lips and then I stand up, rote behavior that had no meaning, no feeling. You don't ever want to come to Orisha like that. You don't ever want to come to Orisha like that, Always come heart first. And you come heart first, all you might have to offer is a clear glass of water. But if your heart is in the right place, it will be accepted with good fortune. That's what I've learned.
Yeah, Sheila asked a question. If you're not initiated, how would you know whether the Orisha are connecting or accepting your offering?
Yeah, that's a good point. At the aleo stage, that's what that's called, when you're just approaching this and you're not in nobody's house and you don't have elekes and you don't have an oracle to work with. This is a place where you totally have to go on feeling. I would say what you're offering is not ebo, it's what's called adimu. Okay, and adimu is like a hors d'oeuvre, like a little something something that you are offering up as trying to establish a relationship with an Orisha. So I would say offer your adimu, sit there with a candle and a glass of water, be quiet, and ask the question, is this sufficient? Do you accept this? Is this, is this good? And see what you feel. If you feel like it's not right or you feel like you need to add something, okay? But know that the level that you're working at, that is the best that you can do. Later on, when you've had a divination, there'll be specific information about what you should offer. And if you are working with a knowledgeable elder, how it is offered and what the follow-up is will become more obvious. But I tell you honestly, in my experience, in that early stage where you are making an emotional connection with the Orisha, that's a very, very important stage. My emotional connection with Orisha kept me from falling victim to charlatans who tried to tell me, "Oh, Sean don't like you. You that you know." You tell that shit to somebody who don't know better, because I can feel her. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Giselle is asking, I had a reading recently and was told to give a sacrifice of pigeons done through a priestess. I don't yet understand the reasons for this or the symbolism of animal sacrifice. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, that's a whole big subject that I would have to, first of all, who did they say the pigeon was being given to?
Giselle?
Who was the pigeon being given to?
It was for Yemaya.
For Yemaya. Okay. All right. Well, that's benevolent enough. Um, so did you not make there was something wrong with the reading, or did you not trust the priestess, or is it that you don't understand what animal sacrifice is about, period?
It's not that I don't necessarily trust. I just want to have an understanding. Like you said, if I'm doing something just because someone told me to, then is it meaningful? So I wanted
Right.
to have a better understanding of why, what it means, and what if it's done through somebody else, what that means. And I just feel like there's a lot I don't understand in order to enact that.
Okay. Do you trust the person who's supposed to do the ebo?
That's a loaded question for me.
Because do you know the person?
Not well, but she was in one of the previous classes you did. You had her on, and I felt like I connected with her, but I just.
Okay, then your problem is you don't understand the nature of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a long answer to that, but the short answer to that is that through sacrifice, we move life force energy. We move life force energy. Okay. In the same way that that a medical professional might take some of your blood and inject it into a rabbit to know what your condition is, that's moving life force energy. On another level, when it's done properly, the spirit of that bird is taking your message into the other dimension. Okay. Now, I've run upon some people who, because of whatever reason, they're trying to say that blood sacrifice is not necessary. My response to that is, if you are birthing something, there must be blood. There is no birth without blood. There's no birth without blood. In terms of my experience, you know, I've gone through people who I thought did wanton slaughter. They just slaughtered ridiculously without respect for the fact that there is an agreement between us and the animal kingdom, us and the plant kingdom, us and the mineral kingdom about the ways that we move energy around. But on the experience side, I've had people who said, well, you know, I can't I can't do the animal sacrifice. And two that come to mind that I'll share with you right now. One has to do with a woman who came to me for a divination, and she was distressed and so on. And Oya said she wanted a brown pigeon. I told this woman, in order for your shit to change, Oya wants you to sacrifice a brown pigeon. She said, "Oh no, I can't do that." I said, "Then I can't help you. You know, this is what Orishas saying." And she stormed out of my house. Half an hour later, she came back banging on the door, shaking and trembling, right? And I asked her what happened. She said she was on the freeway going home, and a brown pigeon flew into her windshield and died on the front of her car. Okay. I said, "So you wouldn't let me do it in a sacred manner. You wouldn't let me purchase the pigeon, feed it, sing to it, have you pray on it, get its agreement to be the sacrifice. You wouldn't let me do that." Okay. So it happened. Now you know that that was real. Okay. The other thing that comes to mind is another woman who was a child of Olokun. She had questions about that. She had funny feelings about that. And the man who was my baba at the time, Ibaye, he sat us down at the table and he took a pigeon and he put it in his hand. And he said to the pigeon, "Are you willing to die for this woman?" And the pigeon looked up at her, put its head down, and died in his hands. And I had to say to her, "Is that clear enough for you?" Okay. That is a very, very different thing from, people who, and I'm not saying you, I'm talking in general, people who are afraid of that will go to the supermarket and buy a chicken that was kept in a cage all its life, that was slaughtered by a machine, that was one of a million, okay, and they take the sacred out of it. When you take the sacred out of it, you're eating dead spirit, you know. The chicken you buy at the market, you got to pray your ass off while you're cooking it to reinvigorate the spirit of it. So, if the priestess in question is somebody you met in one of my classes, especially if it's somebody that I
You invited
in as a guest, trust her.
Okay.
Trust her. Because I really don't play that. I don't play that. Okay.
Thank you, Yeye.
You're welcome.
Yay. A couple more questions. Vanessa says, "Well, what if you're a vegan?"
You are a vegan. That's your decision. See, this is something people go through. I've seen folks who try to make their ancestors eat the way they eat. Well, I'm a vegan, so my ancestors got to be vegan. No, they don't. No, they don't. I'm a vegan, so Oshun's got to be a vegan. No, they don't. That's your choice, not theirs. And it comes hard because when somebody's makes ocha, kariocha, you have to eat some of the sacrificial food. And so, I let people know off the top, if that is your ultimate concern, then you can't do this. You can be vegan, maybe being vegan is good for you, but there's no way I'm gonna make Ogun be vegan. You see what I'm saying? And you really have to ask your ancestors. You need to give them what they like to eat, and you need to eat what you like to eat. And it becomes important because not only is there food that the Orishas want, but you will get your own food taboos and your own food directives from divinations and from membership in an elay. Like I was thinking about it this morning, there was a period when we did a divination and Yemaya said, don't eat beef. Don't eat beef. And some of the people in there were grumbling, damn, that don't leave me much of the, I like my red meat, da 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 da. She said, I told you, don't eat beef, right? A couple of weeks later, we turn on the news and there's mad cow disease. Mad cow. Here's some people that turn some cows into cannibals by feeding them cow flesh and then gonna sell that to us. Cows don't eat meat. They were putting cow meat in with the grain and forcing the cows to eat other cows. That's crazy. And then you're gonna serve it to me? You see what I'm saying? So Orishas always trying to warn us and get us on a particular track. You can receive a taboo, understand where it comes from. Maybe you go through certain rituals and the taboo will be lifted, but it's miraculous because the Yeye, who I'd never seen before in my life, told me, Oya does not want you to eat lamb or eggplant. And I said, no problem, because I had not had either one since 1966. That was 1980 something. I had not had any since 1966 because I'd gone to an Oktoberfest and I had a slice of eggplant that was stuffed with lamb, and I broke out in purple spots on the back of my neck. So I had given myself, I'm not going to eat that again. So 20 years later, somebody telling me, oh, yeah, I don't want you to eat it. It's like, message received. I understand. Now, if you're sure that being vegan is what's right for you, and it's not just a temporary thing, because 1968, I was on a macrobiotic diet. My house was where people came to learn macrobiotic cooking. You see what I'm saying? So you always have to be sure that what you're doing is right for you and right for the period of time in your life. But always ask Orisha what they want and ask Egun what they want.
Thank you, Yeye. There's another couple questions, and I want you to know we've gone an hour over.
An hour over?
Yes, ma'am. You've been teaching.
Oh my God,
Yeye.
I haven't talked about Yemayao Lokum, and well, we'll have to pick this back up next week.
Okay. So may I ask the question that's here? Okay, this is from Sheila, who needs some fundamentals clarified. She says, so when you do the sacrifice, you kill it yourself or you bring it to the priestess?
You bring it to the priestess. I do the killing. The priestess does the killing.
And she says, also, where is a good place to begin the priestess journey?
Well, usually it's with a divination that tells you, begins to put you on your path with Orisha. But for me, and for most of the legitimate priests, the first most important thing is establishing a relationship with your ancestors. That's where you start. If you really feel that Orisha tradition is your destiny, then wait, answer that question. The person who's asking that question, do you feel that Orisha tradition really is your destiny, or have you been told that you should initiate with Orisha?
Um, I have been interested in Orisha for a while, and I kind of like heard songs and been connected to it, but
But
yeah,
you
like
have
I've
not
just
had a reading that said you need to make Ocha.
no.
No. Okay. All right. So you're still in the Aleo stage. My advice to you is to work deeply with your ancestors, continue taking classes here, continue investigating the kind of readings that I'm giving you to do, and then in January set up arrange for divination with me, and we'll ask the question, is this in fact your path? So this is a good time for me to say two things. Item number one is, as you are on this path, there are various stations where you may find fulfillment. Not everybody is going to become an initiated priest, right? But everybody has a place that is a place of power and satisfaction for them. Some people will become adept at ancestor reverence. Some people will enter an ile and receive elekes. Others will go on to receive warriors. Some will receive ademu orishas, and some will kariocha, get the big haircut, and go forward and forward from there. That is to be determined as you progress, okay? But the most important thing to know is that Orisha is not a missionary tradition. We are not a missionary tradition. You know, the missionary traditions say everybody's got to be the same religion we are. And if I don't force them into this religion, then I'm going to hell. No, that's not where we're at. Where we're at is you belong in this tradition if your ancestors say you do. It ain't everybody's destiny to be here. Some people are allies to the tradition and initiated in something else completely. Some people are, children in the village, but not everybody becomes a priest. And as priests, it's not our job to coerce people into it. It is our job when the ancestral forces move you in this direction. It is our job to help you fulfill your destiny. So in my lifetime, with all the different people I've dealt with, twice I have had folks who wanted into my Ile, and when I asked their ancestors, the ancestors said no, they belong somewhere else, you know. Um, Before I was initiated, I had a women's group, the Daughters of the Gelefun. There were 21 women, and to this day, all of them have been initiated in something, right? One is a new age, a new thought minister. Another one became a sun dancer. Somebody else got initiated in Akan tradition. Somebody else went to Kemetic. The important thing is that we were women with a disposition for the spiritual, born with a priestly consciousness, who were being kept out because we were women. And so we got together and started doing study on our own. And over the years, that has led to just about everybody being initiated in something, you know. So just work with your ancestors for now, follow your heart, and we can do a reading later to see if this is your path.
Thank you. Much
Mhm.
love.
Thank you, Yeye, so very much. As we are closing this evening, Yeye, will you please clarify, because we have the overview of the Orisha that you've provided today,
Mhm.
amazingly so, and that you carry into next week.
Mhm.
And then there are also people here today who enrolled in Elevating Our Spirits. So
Mhm.
we're still a little bit, I don't want to say behind, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just want to clarify that.
Yeah. See that's the thing. So when we come back together, maybe the way we can do it is people take a good look at the material about Yemaya and Olokun and Oshun in the book. We'll start out with people asking questions about them, okay? Because the homework there is for you to read that material, look at the YouTube videos, give yourself an idea about which Orisha energy you need now, and then perform the ritual for that Orisha as is described in the chapter, and do your experience. So what we're going to have to do next time is I shouldn't talk so much. Y'all should come with questions, right? And Leah, we have 90 minutes, right, for our class.
Yes, Yeye, that is so.
Okay, so you need to let me know when I've talked for 35 minutes.
Yes, Yeye, I
Okay,
will.
and then I need to uh, s- go for questions, and then we will go into uh, the elevating our spirits. Yeah, see, it's just it's difficult. The thing to know is that for each one of these, depending upon interest, desire, etc., um, we can create entire classes that are like 6 or 8 weeks to go deeper into this. I see that there is a question. Somebody had a question that if they only signed up for the Orisha class.
I'm looking up here for this question.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, I actually, sorry to like just take my mic off. I actually signed up for the Elevating Our Spirits class, and I don't know if I came late, but I didn't hear anything about the head cleansing.
Oh, see, yeah, see what happened, I think, is because the questions got so deep about Egun last time, we are running one class behind.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what happened. So the only thing I can say is Leah, she signed up for elevating our spirits. And so we just have to let her in next week. Yeah.
Absolutely, Yeye. And so I understand that there's several people who are here for who did sign up for Elevating Our Spirits. I
Mm-hmm.
thought we would perhaps get to that content today, but that
Right.
means, that means you got a bonus class, a bonus.
Yeah, right, right.
You're in the right place at the right time. So
Yeah,
you
that's how we have to handle that. Because when I conceived of this format, we were just trying to keep people connected and keep progressing even in the face of COVID. So it was a choice between doing it this way or doing it not at all. And what I had hoped was that people would read the material and all I would be doing is answering questions, right? But let's try that for next time. People read the material on Yemaya, Olokun, and Oshun in the book. Do as much as you can, and then we'll open with questions about them so that we can go to elevating your spirit. And if there's any time to return to it, you know, the holiday is the problem, because if we keep moving stuff back, okay, elevating our spirits and then dancing the diaspora, we'll see how deep people are interested in that. Um, but maybe, I don't know what people are doing about the holidays, but if we need to, um, the 19th, we can move material into the 19th with the end of the year ceremony. Okay, because all of that is dependent on COVID. And honestly, people, from where I'm sitting, I don't see us being able to get together in real time. And I don't see us, I have to meditate with Olokun to see what's there, because really, y'all, even though I put this down on paper, the way things are going, I'm thinking that our end of the year ceremony might need to be for Babaluaye. You know what I'm saying? Because COVID is eating, I mean, Babalu and Iku, disease and death, are having a grand feast. You know, we have what? Here in California, they said we have 125 people dying every hour from COVID. So, you know, we may push stuff through. That last one about, you know, dancing the diaspora, we may have to push some of that toward December 19th. And I will consult my Orishas, because maybe there's a ritual for disease and death that people can do on their own. Wow, wow. It's just, you know, I'm gonna beg y'all, please wear your mask, wash your hands, stay out of large gatherings, you know, have dinner and a show with me on the 20th. Gather carefully, because there's, you know, um last night I got word of another brother right here in Oakland who has died, and I don't know who's gonna do his tutu. I don't know how we gonna bury him. All I can do is light candles. So y'all, please stay healthy, and thank you for sticking with me as we ran over time. And I'll see you next week. I will see
Alafia.
you all next week.
Thank you, Yeye. Thank you all
Uh,
for being
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, Queen.
everybody,
Queen.
Thank you,
take care of yourself.
Fun.
Take
Thank
care of yourself. This is really it's so heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. Everybody be good. Be good to yourself.
Ashe.
Shell.
Ashe.
Yeah, can you hold on for a few moments, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
We'll
you.
get everything straightened up. Look forward to email updates.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Good night, everybody.
All right.
Queen, thank you. Good night.
Good night.